So there's so much to unpack here, and so many follow-up questions. But specifically on the bond market and the 10-year Treasury, how high do you think the Fed would let it go before stepping in some form? Because one of the consequences of a higher yield is the compounding losses on banks' balance sheets, the unrealized losses. I mean, how much can the Fed take without doing anything and just let the market set interest rates higher?
See, now this is where the controversy really steps in. And I'll answer your question directly by they'll go wherever they need to go. And bankers are well paid, and you're going to have to earn your pay this year, is basically what you're going to have to do. Now, why did I say that? We assume that the Fed's priority is to ensure growth in the economy. Now, from 2008, let's go back to that level, although I could go back earlier, the financial crisis, through the early part of 2021, that was absolutely the Fed's priority. And what that means, straightforward, is whenever something got wobbly in markets or the economy looked kind of iffy, the Fed would print money and throw it at everybody and get the economy to go back up. And we kind of became accustomed to that. We call it the Fed put. That's what wobbly markets means, that if the market falls by a certain amount, the Fed will stop and they'll just start throwing money at the market to bring it to go back up. In every one of those cases, and even before that, before 2008, we never had inflation. And so the Fed could see markets get wobbly or the economy get wobbly, like 2020, it was the big example, and just print trillions of dollars and throw it at the markets and set up emergencies facilities to buy corporate bonds and high yield ETFs and just do whatever they can to magically levitate markets. And it worked. And they also got no inflation. So everybody won. But now that you've entered late 21 and early 22, we have a 40-year high in inflation. And I believe that has changed the Fed's I believe that has changed the Fed's priority. I believe that Jay Powell has been extraordinarily clear, including yesterday. He spoke at the NABE conference yesterday that his priority is to rein in inflation. That means they will raise rates, and they probably will go 50 basis points in March and might go 50 basis points again in June. And let me be blunt. That means that in some respect, they want risk markets like the stock market to go down. They don't want them to crash, but they do want them to go down. And that means that if you're a fund manager or a bank manager and you're saying, well, this is going to put me in a tough place, like I said at the top, this is your time now to earn your pay. It's not going to be easy for you. Now, why is inflation such a big priority? If you look at political polling, the president's approval rating and Congress's approval rating is getting crushed. The public is deeply unhappy with the state of affairs in the economy. A recent Suffolk University poll said 51% of the American public thinks we are in a recession right now. Although most economists will tell you that the economy is great, 3.9% unemployment, strong GDP growth, but the public thinks the opposite. They think it's a disaster, the economy. 21% of them think the economy is in a depression right now. When they ask them, what is the number one issue in the country? The number one issue, far and away, is inflation. Racial justice, Ukraine, Russia is a distant second or third. And the rest of that stuff, rest of them are rounding errors. So the public is intensely unhappy with inflation. Now, why? The Fed does a survey of consumer finances, and they do it every 3 years. The last one was 2019. 40% of the public has less than $1,000 of savings, and they rent. Inflation is wiping them out. Yesterday, the day we're recording, the day before, in the Washington Post, there was a story, 56 million seniors on fixed income are deciding that they have to take fewer hot showers a week and eat less meat because of inflation. That's how bad it is. And so the Fed is hearing from Congress and seeing it themselves. If a bank manager wants to whine about his capital position, if a fund manager wants to whine about his losses, and they're looking over 50 million senior citizens that can't take a hot shower every day and are eating less meat because they can't afford hamburgers, you know what, fund managers and bank managers, you're just going to have to earn your pay. That's what I mean by the Fed's priority has changed. Now, are they risking a recession? Yes, they are risking a recession, and they know it. Last month, actually it was earlier this month, in testimony, Senator Richard Shelby asked Jay Powell a question, and his question was, Paul Volcker raised rates so much, he put the economy into recession in order to stop inflation. Is the current Federal Reserve prepared to do that if necessary? And Jay Powell's answer was, I believe history will show the answer is yes. So to sum it all up, who cares about bank capital positions? Who cares about the stock market? They are going to raise rates and raise rates and raise rates until prices and inflation come down. That's going to be the metric that makes them stop. And yes, a recession will do it. A recession will end inflation, but they're still thinking that they can raise rates to 2.5% or 3% without a recession and stop inflation. But that's their priority, is prices. Their priority is no longer growth.